Okay, I want to address something today. I haven't spoken on this channel for quite a while. But anyway, I had someone today on my other channel, not this channel, to be clear, that sent me a video. And Guru Ma, what do you think of this? I watched their video and told them it was total crap. At which point they came back, decided they were going to tell me they were 30 years old, and I don't know what I'm talking about, and yada, 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 yada. The drugs are fabulous. They've done so much to help people. You know, he starts out his video saying that, you can get enlightened on psychedelics in 17 to 18 hours. Really? Since when? On what planet? Okay? You do not get enlightened through drugs. You can have an experience. But it is far, far from enlightenment. I don't care how expansive it feels. It is not enlightenment. Okay? And those drugs are dangerous. Oh, but ayahuasca is so fast. No, I had a girl that contacted me. Her sister had gone down, did ayahuasca, and died. Okay, she died. Oh, but LSD, and you don't know about LSD. I lived in the 70s, the 60s. My friends were going to high school on LSD every day. Yeah, I know about LSD. Okay, I lived in the hate when it was the hate. Okay, I grew up around mind-altering, expanding drugs in the love generation. Okay, so yes, I understand about psychedelics. Read all of, Ram Dass's nonsense. Okay, nonsense. So I don't care how expansive it makes you feel, and don't think I haven't had it. Yes, I tried LSD once, twice I tried it. I saw rapidly it's bogus. Bogus. Okay. And it can sit there and stay in the fat cells of your brain, and you can have flashbacks. It is not something that is grounded. It does not bring life-altering change of consciousness. Okay? Yes, I know in your video you said later that it's really not the best way to do it. Okay? I won't work with anybody that's doing any kind of mind-altering substance. No way, no shape, no form. And to sit in this idea that just meditation is going to get you to realization, it's not. You have to have a Kundalini awakening that goes the full of the journey to completion. Okay? And the Kundalini journey is fraught with dangers if you don't know what you are doing. Okay? So, please, people out there, don't send me your videos and expect that I'm going to be saying you're fabulous, and then get your nose out of joint when I tell you the truth of it, and come back and try to read me the riot act. Oh, you're 30 years old, you just look young, so you know all this. Well, I'm almost 70, twice your age, and my Kundalini journey was as longer than you are old, okay? Longer than you are old, and yet you're going to try to come and school me in something. Yeah, okay, good luck with that. You've got lots of opinions, but your opinions mean nothing. Okay, so please don't be out there trying to teach and put out like you know something when you haven't even really begun the journey. Okay? It's one of my pet peeves, if you haven't guessed by now. People that want to set themselves up as authorities, and they haven't really even begun the journey. Okay? It takes lifetimes, not 10 years. You've done meditation for a few years and think that you've got a handle on it all now. Read a lot of books. I've done meditation. I've had some experiences, so I know. Okay? No, it takes lifetimes. Okay? It's not easy. Like I said, in my last lifetime, I went crazy. I was not ready for it. Okay? This is not a joke. And so when people bring me these bogus things, I will get testy. I will be like Kabir. I will tell you flat out. Okay? People didn't like Kabir either when he was around because he didn't mince words. And people think that if you are enlightened, that you're going to just soft feather their little egos. Well, no. There is no little feather nest here that I'm going to say that's so fabulous. No. I'm going to give you the hard facts. Okay. Now, I know, I lived in the community with the Babas and everything up in Rishikesh. They're all doing the hashish. Okay, even more than the marijuana ganja. Okay, and I can tell you when they get to the other side, they are in a fog for a long time. Their consciousness is dampened down by this stuff. Okay, so they're not gaining this great wisdom and stuff. Their consciousness is foggy, and it stays that way for a very, very long time. These drugs are not the answer. Whether it's ayahuasca, LSD, hashish, ganja, I don't care. None of those are going to benefit you, but they can be quite well, it's like you say, Kali can either bring enlightenment or total delusion based upon where you're going. If you are in ego and you want to get there for egotistical means, you can be totally deluded. And I mean, she can take you on a journey that's like you don't even want to know. Okay? Or you can get to enlightenment. But enlightenment takes surrender. Okay? And so many people on this journey, they want to get enlightenment because they want it to buoy up their ego. They want to have, I'm going to get enlightenment, my little ego's going to be, and then I'm going to be like a god. Okay? Oh, you think so? That's when you have the ones like, what was his name? Adida, or like I like to call Ladida, that has some experience, then they wrap it around ego. He goes out and buys an island, has his harem, has his bullshit. Okay? And that's the most dangerous thing. If you have an experience and then you come down and you wrap it around ego, and that ego becomes overblown, it's God now. Okay? That's not enlightenment. That's total delusion. Total delusion. In genuine enlightenment, When everything deconstructs in that moment, you go through that death and there is that deconstruction, there is no more you. Okay? And people say, well, there has to be a you because I see you functioning. It is a total consciousness shift. Any air you had in that to think that you're going to get to enlightenment, you're going to be special, whatever, there is no you. There is no world, there is no you. The only thing that exists is that divine is. And the mind does not recover from that. Okay? It stops, it stills. If you come back out and the mind is going, you're trying to make rational sense of it, then again you go back into ego. That's not enlightenment. Maybe you can talk about the experience, but it's not enlightenment. Enlightenment is only there when you get to Turiya Tita, which is the still mind. There are no running thoughts. There is no, it is just quiet. Okay? There's no more delusion about being a persona. That blows out. That's why it's called nirvana, blown out. It blows out. That's why Buddha said, I have awakened. They're no longer in the dream state of being this separate being with this life and this, drama, soap opera that one drags around, that rules their life, that keeps them on a hamster wheel of mind and mental spin. Okay? When that mind and mental spin is gone, then whatever experience comes, it's in that moment, and that's it. It's over. It's done. When it's done, it's done. Okay? There is no longer an ability to hate anyone. There is no longer there can be anger at actions, but you cannot hate any being. Okay? It's, like I said, it's a total shift of consciousness, and trying to explain it to people is very difficult. People are not going to understand it. Okay? When I try to speak of what it is, because it's so different. When you first go through realization, and I say you, but there's no you that comes out of it. It's like the Bible says, no one sees the face of the Father and lives. Okay? It's death to ego. That fantasy is over. Okay? That fantasy is over. And one knows that everything that is in the seen universe, seen or unseen, is only comprised of this divine is. Okay. It really takes any air out of a bubble of specialness or any of those ideations are totally gone. They don't come back. Okay, they don't. Doesn't exist. Okay. Doesn't mean that when one comes back that they're not enjoying. Then you enter the play of God. It's called the play of God because nothing sticks. Before there's suffering, when one comes out, there's no more suffering. It's moksha, it's liberation. What's been liberated is the mind. Okay? Doesn't mean the body doesn't go through the things here, like Ramana. So many of the gurus died from cancers, died from, the body is still subject to the laws of the universe here. Okay? But what changes is the consciousness. What remains is a massive change of consciousness. Okay? It doesn't mean that the personality is going to be different. Okay? whatever your personality is before, you'll have more than likely the same personality. Okay? That's why you have so many different. You had Ramana, you have Nisargadatta, you have Kabir. Each one of them had a very distinct type of a personality. Okay? Nisargadatta is fiery. Ramana was more sedate. So people again have this mistaken notion. Buddha was different as well. Okay? But when one comes back, you try to give what you can give to humanity to dispel the false notions. Okay? But one recognizes pretty rapidly that not everyone is ready for realization. They don't want it. They say they want enlightenment, but they don't understand what it is. When they understand what it is, they go, oh no, I don't want that. I want to keep who I am. I want to keep this, I just want to make my life better. I want more power. I want more control. I want God to be a co-creator. I'm paramount. Okay? And that's humanity. Again, realization takes absolute, utter, total surrender, like Christ showed on the cross. This is what happens. You come to that moment of that feeling of a crucifixion. And in that moment, it's God, why have you forsaken me? That's what it feels like. And you have to surrender yourself utterly and totally in that moment, 100%, not holding one iota back. You think that's pleasant? You think that's fun? You think that's, people have so many mistaken notions about what it takes. In that moment here, it was like on the altar of truth I laid myself in its absolute terror. You don't know if you're going to, something is radically shifted. You've done all you can do. There's nothing more you can do. Okay? On the altar of truth I lay myself in. It's like, am I going to be possessed? Is possession awaiting? Because it's fear, it's terror. You are crossing this chasm of the unknown. Okay? There is no assuredness in that moment. Going to cease to exist. You feel like you're going to either cease to exist entirely or you're going to be possessed. Now you tell me how pleasant that is. Are you going to want to surrender yourself 100%? That's what it takes in that moment. And then the next second, when you've absolutely, utterly, totally surrendered into it, there's no you, no world, no thought. It's not you're seeing something. You're not experiencing it with the five senses. The only thing that's there is that divine is. Okay. Now you've entered the linga. What's represented by the linga? The oval. It's not a penis. It's not a testes. Okay? It's not the oval. Zero. The zero gives value to everything, yet within itself it looks like it's nothing. Okay? But it's the vastness of the universe before it comes into being. It holds everything that will ever come into existence. It is absolutely pure within itself. More life than anything one experiences, more reality than anything one experiences here. Okay? It is like, how to explain it? It's not devoid. People call it the void, but it's not devoid. It's pregnant. Pregnant with everything that will ever come into being. Okay. more power than 1,000,000 suns. Okay? The light is so vast that it's beyond light. Okay? There is no way to communicate this to a rational mind that is stuck in the world of divisionary, that is operating through 5 senses and saying that I am this body. Okay? There is no way to communicate that. That's why they say, those that know do not speak, and those that speak do not know. Because there is no way to communicate it. Okay? That's what that means. There is no way to communicate this to a mind that's in division as to what it is. It is the great silence. You come back, and then in the midst of sound is silence. In the midst of action is inaction. They're no longer separate. None of these are separate any longer. Okay? One is opened up to a totally, vastly different consciousness, beingness. When one comes back, you cannot speak. You know, it took a long time to be able to come back to say me, I, this, and you don't want to speak at all at first when one comes out of this. Because you've left all of that ideation of who and what you were. It doesn't come back. Okay, it's gone. Never existed. In that moment you say, I've never existed. You know, the only existent is this divine is. I've never been born, I've never died. Okay? As that ultimate divine is, it's this energetic, I don't want to say prior to consciousness of this. Again, you can't explain it. Everything that's in this conscious world of divisionary starts here. Okay? And then it comes out through the yoni and comes into manifestation as feeling of some separation. You know, it's like you take a light ray and it divides into colors. It's a single light ray, but it appears to subdivide into colors. Well, that's what happens with this divine is. It subdivides into these things, but there is no genuine subdivision. At the heart of it, it's still that singular is. Okay? Now you can try to rationalize it and try to imagine it, but it's not the same as living it. It's like hearing of an ice cream cone and trying to imagine what it would be versus having one and tasting it. Okay? Two vastly different things. If you have one, you taste it, there's nothing left to the imagination. If you don't have one, you've heard about it, you're trying to imagine, it's all you have is imagination. Ideas about, you know, maybe insight, something, but you don't have the reality. Well, once the reality is there, it blows all these ideations out of the water. Okay? When something is known, it's known. Okay? Yeah, one goes into balance, total. There's a balance that happens. One goes back into life, and it appears it's normal life, because you have no more need for wearing, you know, the clothing of a sannyas or whatever. You have no need for these outer trappings. And people go, well, if you realize, why do you wear makeup? Why do you do that? Because it's the play. It's enjoyed. Why do you do tarot cards? If you were enlightened, you wouldn't need it. I don't need it, but it's fun. Okay? It's what is chosen to do. It's fun. It's the play. Okay? Once the path completes, you know, when you've looked for this for eons, lifetimes, and all of a sudden it's completed, it's like hitting a brick wall. It's like, well, now what? All of my existence for lifetimes has been in the search. When it completes, it's like, oh my God, now what? It can be a bit disconcerting at first. Okay? And again, first thing when you come out, you don't want to hear small talk. You don't want to hear any of that. You don't even want to communicate with people because everything has so shifted. Those things are so inconsequential. It means, you know, it's like, for what? You know that all these things are perfection at the inner core, no matter what the outer thing looks like. Okay? And that's why, you know, no matter what's going on in the world, you know life is eternal. Okay? Yes, the suffering is here when you're on this planet and you're going through that and you're feeling of a separation and you're connected, feeling a connection to a form and the physicality of it, whatever. But realization, you know, that it's eternal. Okay? It's just like stepping out of one vehicle into another vehicle for a different set of experience. Okay? And that you know that no matter how bad it looks on the surface, that internal divine is unchanging and cannot be touched by any of these happenings, no matter how dreadful they appear. That divine spark is unmoved. Okay? It's whole, it's complete, as it is, will always remain that way. Eternally, nothing can touch this. It's like the example of beads on a thread. The divine is that thread. You can have all these experiences on that, but they don't touch that thread. That thread is not going to change. Okay? Now you can sit there and be, how do I want to say it, locked into that bead and think you're that bead, but no. Ultimately, it's that divine, that thread that runs through it. Okay? That connects each one of these experiences. Oh, but this bead is so much more beautiful than that one. That one's misshapen, and this is, you know, all those cognitions of the little mind spin. But the thread has no illusion. It's the thread. Same thing, like they have the example of you're walking at night and there's a rope and you think it's a snake and you're terrified. And then you wake up and see it's only a rope. But the mind has created this big scenario of fear. Okay? The mind creates these scenarios. When the mind stills, there's only clear seeing. Those scenarios do not play out. Okay? They don't play out any longer. Okay? Yeah, for most people, if they stop, there are, the mind is still going, emotion stuff. Here, if they stop, there's just this, how to explain it, that immediate fullness, that immediate that immediate of that, like the pregnant void, that just that fullness that can't even put into words for people. One is that stillness, but one feels like the traffic that I hear that's going by. For some it would be annoying, but for here it's just, you feel there's that feeling of it, and it's a vibration. Almost tickles. It almost tickles when it goes by. It's it just, you feel it. One becomes very aware as one's driving to the different states of mind spin in different areas. Each one will have a different energetic signature depending on what's there. So one is very aware of the energies. Okay. But again, very difficult to try to explain to people. It's, in the moment of enlightenment, when one comes out, everything has changed and nothing has changed. It's that thing, your whole world, your whole existence has changed because you are no longer that person. Okay? That feeling of being a persona, a separation, ends. People still address you with the same name. They still think, they see you going through these motions. They think you're the same person, but you're not. What went into that died. What I was in 1999 died. In October of 99, that very sad human being died. Okay. It's kind of like the cocoon breaks and then the butterfly emerges, transformed from crawling and eating plants and being, into that expansion of being able to fly and to, totally different thing. And so, again, the consciousness here, when people are connected, they connect into the energy here. It causes shifts in their consciousness. It causes shifts in their energetic patterns. And that's why, you give out the practices that came out. Some of them came, they just come spontaneously out of it, and it has an energetic signature. Even the music that's played here, you will feel that energetic signature that comes out through it if there is that connection. Okay. So even listening to the music that's done here, the albums, whatever, it can cause shifts for people. It's just the way it is. It's the way it happens. Okay. So I'm going to leave this here. Okay. Hopefully somebody gets something out of it. Anyway, In about another hour is when the mail usually comes, and the new flute that's showing up. So excited for that to come. Well, not excited. See, that's another thing. Use the vernacular of common. You have to relearn to speak common language of divisionary experience. Your consciousness is no longer in the divisionary, but you have to use divisionary language because you are communicating with people that are in Divida. People ask me if you're excited about this or excited. I don't have excitement. Okay? Those things really shift. There's no longer excitement. There's no longer anticipation. Even though I may say those words, really here it's just, okay, that ongoing stillness. I don't feel excitement for things because you don't have any longer that, how do I want to put it into words, that anticipation of something. It has no reality. The only thing that has reality is this moment. I don't have anything of anticipatory any longer. You're not trying to create something in the mind that is going to happen. That goes. You're only in this moment. That's it. There is no other existence. You cannot go back in the past. I don't go in the past and relive past experiences, which is when we're in the mind. That's what happens with PTSD. You're reliving that. It's like an old tape. Well, when that goes, this blows out. There's no more of that. There's no reliving past. You can't go back and manufacture something past. And neither is there an anticipation of future. All of that ends. That ends. You cannot manufacture it. That's what happens in Turiya Theta when the mind is still and it's just direct consciousness. It's only a play out of this moment as it is. You cannot add to, you cannot take away from. There is no more imagination. Okay? When I'm doing music and stuff, it comes out of the, when I say soul, it just comes out. It's spontaneous. It's not something that's thought about. It just flows from that moment of creationary things. When I'm doing the electronic music, those pieces, it's a feeling of, putting it together is a feeling of the vibrations. Yeah, you can feel it. You can feel the vibrations of it as it's going. It's the only way that I can explain it, that can be explained here. Sort of like, the body moves and does. Sometimes when I'm speaking, I have no idea what's going to come out. It's not something that one plans and thinks about what they're going to say. It just emerges. Okay. Yeah, I wish, there was possible to give the experience to people as to what it is to live within this shift of consciousness. If they could have just 2 minutes of the experience of what it is to live within the consciousness now, they would have such a vast change in their perceptions as to what life is and what life isn't. Anyway, this body's rambling, so I'm going to close it off here. Thanks for tuning in. I hope everyone is having a great, just continue forward step by step in your journeys. And no matter what happens, you will learn something from it. Whether it seems to be good experience or bad experience, there is the potentiality to learn something from it. All experience is, giving something to be learned. Okay, something to be seen. Sometimes it's the hardest experiences that we come into this planet to go through are the biggest teachers. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to leave this here.